Blijf filmen, blijf filmen. Kijk, deze gaat ervoor springen.
Nee joh, hé, wapens jongen, wapens. Hé, wallah, rij weg jongen, rij weg. Wapens is dat.
Pik, je hebt het op film?
Ja,
Je hebt het op film dat ze schieten?
ga weg,
Bro,
ga weg,
we
ga
gaan
weg, ga weg.
pleiten. Ze nemen ook niet te schieten, man.
Ga weg. Nee joh.
The police have fired on Dutch farmers who are protesting environmental rules. Farmers have blocked supermarkets, distribution centers, and roads in response to the government's plans to cut nitrogen emissions. And guys, this is already getting way out of hand, as you can tell from that opening clip, and now we see a 16-year-old is under investigation for attempted manslaughter as just after the police tried to kill him. And so now, obviously, the Dutch farmers are kind of preparing for such craziness. They're arming their tractors, and this is eerily reminiscent of the good old killdozer days. If you guys are not familiar with this story, just do a Google search for killdozer and look up that story. It's quite interesting, but for the purposes of today's video, guys, I want to talk about this. Dutch farmers protest plan to curb nitrogen emissions. New farmers' protests have erupted across the Netherlands, despite police warning not to break the law following the first demonstration against the government's plan to curb nitrogen emissions on June 22nd. Farmers have been protesting the government's plan to reduce the size of agricultural sectors to comply with European conservation laws. Farmers are furious as the words of the minister echo, "Some farmers will have to give up their businesses." Folks, let me repeat. Some farmers apparently are going to have to give up their businesses. Why on earth are they doing this in the midst of a global food crisis? Well, could it be that the powers that ought not to be, like the WEF and the likes of Bill Gates and others, are actively pushing towards this Agenda 2030 plan where you're going to be eating crickets and lab-grown meat as they gobble up all the farmland in the world? We're going to talk about that, guys. I also wanted to show you this. This is a clip that's going viral. It's getting a lot of attention. It's going around right now, allegedly showing undercover police trying to infiltrate the Dutch farmers, but then getting caught. But I have to inform you, this is not true. This is fake news. In fact, I was surprised to see Tim Pool here retweeting this tweet claiming that the Dutch police did an Antifa. Well, as it turns out, folks, this is a very misleading video that amounts to fake news because the footage in question actually originally aired in August of 2020. So I just wanted to clear up some of the misinformation that's going around online right now in regards to that, and I'm happy to do that. But the good news for today, ladies and gentlemen, is that this thing is growing into a global movement. As we see here, Italian farmers are also starting to rise up. Polish farmers are beginning to rise up. We see here German farmers are now rising up. The Dutch, the Italian, the Polish, the German. This is growing into a global movement. So we're going to talk about all of that, guys, and much, much more in this video. But just before we do, I'd ask that you quickly check me out here at pressfortruth.ca/donate if you appreciate my efforts to bring you all this information. Here you can do PayPal, you can do Bitcoin, you can do other cryptocurrencies. You can join me on Subscribestar. That's a great Patreon alternative. This is another Patreon alternative since I've been kicked off of Patreon, where you can sign up for a monthly recurring contribution. You can also do e-transfers to dan@pressfortruth.ca, or you can also send things to my P.O. box, guys. Links for all of that are located in the description below. Thank you so much to anybody who does take the time to contribute to my efforts here at Press for Truth. All right, guys, absolutely epic what's happening right now in the Netherlands as these farmers are taking it upon themselves to fight this nitrogen ban, which essentially is what is produced by the livestock. So if you want to reduce this, you either have to reduce the amount of livestock that is being produced or, you know, change the food that they're eating, and none of these things are something that these farmers are willing to do. So let's just take a look at this. Protests have spread to different provinces across the country. The protest by farmers on Monday, June 27th, saw tractors blocking several highways in, for instance, the areas of Best, LaSalle, and Ulmen, with queues stretching up to 8 kilometers. By the way, Some of these farmers have already discussed that a lot of the inspiration from this came from the Canadian Freedom Convoy, and when they realized that there are more of us than there are of them, and when we just take up our trucks and our tractors, we can actually have a pretty big effect here. And so that has triggered this global kind of farming protest right now, and it's great to see that those seeds that were planted by the Canadians are starting to sprout globally when it comes to freedom being spread. But the point is, these reductions are so severe that those rural communities are going to be totally devastated economically. There's just no way that these people will be able to weather this storm. And again, it begs the question, why is this happening in the midst of this global food crisis, where we're seeing food plants being burnt down all the time? We're seeing supply chain issues that are constantly growing. And as I already pointed out earlier, we got the likes of Bill Gates, who's now controversially picking up farmland all over the U.S. We see here he just wanted legal approval to buy 2,100 acres of North Dakota farmland worth $13.5 million, and people across the state are livid about this. Bill Gates made his fortune in tech, but he's now betting big on something completely different, farmland. Last week, Gates secured the legal approval for purchasing 2,100 acres of farmland from eastern North Dakota potato growers. Of course, this isn't the first time Gates has invested in the asset class, having amassed nearly 270,000 acres of farmland across dozens of states. Gates is now already the largest private owner of farmland in America. Guys, you got to ask that question. Why? This man who thinks, decades ahead is buying up all the farmland. Not only that, guys, as I exposed here earlier this year, before there were baby formula shortages, Bill Gates backed lab-grown breast milk. This man knows what is coming down the pike, and he is certainly getting prepared to deal with it. But again, as we see here, in the midst of this, he's buying up all the land. We currently see the WEF and the powers that ought not to be, as I said, calling for a time where you will own nothing and you will love it, and you'll be eating crickets and lab-grown meat, that we see all of a sudden them clamping down on nitrogen, which, as I said again, is what is actually produced by the livestock itself. So no wonder they are absolutely livid about this. And now it's descended to the point where the police are firing on them, as you saw from that opening clip. And a 16-year-old kid who was in one of those tractors is now being looked at for manslaughter charges. This is crazy. In a message obtained by the Counter Signal, Hops says that he was shocked to see a video of the incident that led to his arrest after being released from prison. I still can't figure out why the police fired. The images in the video show very well that I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm lucky that I survived. He continues, saying that he is now under active investigation for attempted manslaughter. I've been released, but I'm still a suspect in my own bed, he says. The incident occurred late Tuesday night at around 11:30 p.m. Police claimed that the teen attempted to ram into the police and the vehicles and had fired warning shots before firing 2 targeted shots. So they say at around 10:40 p.m., tractor drivers attempted to drive into officers and service vehicles. This happened at the entrance here, it doesn't matter. A threatening situation arose, warning shots were fired, and targeting shots were fired following the incident. A tractor was hit. Tractor drove away from the incident, was stopped shortly afterwards. 3 suspects were arrested. No one was injured. However, while police claim that Hops attempted to ram into them before they fired 2 shots at him, videos taken by onlookers tell a very different story. Indeed, he was driving very slowly in his tractor. He was far away from the officers, as he could be, without going off the road, and he was clearly attempting to leave the scene without any incident. Again, you've seen the clip. I put it at the beginning of this video. And now they're just trying to turn this whole situation around onto the farmers, just like they did in Canada with the truckers, trying to claim that they're dangerous white supremacists and violent people who want to, shoot people at the blockades. It's the same thing happening right now in the Netherlands, guys. So I'm going to continue to follow this one. Kian Bexty of the Counter Signal is there on the ground reporting on this, so we'll continue to follow that. But there is, as I said, some fake news spreading about this, and we have to be careful when reporting on this that we don't, accidentally, tweet out information that is simply not true, as was exposed by this Euronews article. Misleading video claims Dutch farmers attacked undercover police during protests. Now, that's not to say that these things don't happen, because indeed they do. But we have to be careful of muddying the waters when it comes to exposing this very, very important protest, because right now it is spreading globally. I mean, look at this. Italian farmers also rise up. We're not slaves. We're not farmers. We are not slaves. We're farmers. We cannot make ends meet. Then they got a warning to politicians here. Let's come to Rome. The unjustified and nefarious increase in raw materials and basic necessities have brought the agricultural sector to its knees. And again, the Italians are rising up. As we see here, Polish farmers are also rising up in Warsaw. That's enough. We won't let ourselves be robbed. They accuse the political class of destabilizing production by raising interest rates, which does not stop inflation. We workers cannot pay for the crisis created by the politicians. So you got Polish farmers, you got Italian farmers, you've got German farmers also now rising up, as we said, Dutch, Italian, Polish, German. This is a growing global movement, as it should be, ladies and gentlemen. This is something I've been covering here on this channel for quite some time. I want to point you to this interview. Very, very important moving forward, guys. When times are getting tough, having access to real food is essential for survival. Here's what you need to know. And this is an interview I did with my friend Curtis Stone, the urban farmer. And this is back in March of 2020. March of 2020. We're trying to, proactively get you guys ready for what was coming down the pike. And here we are. But as we see here, the COVID-1984 pandemic is showing no signs of slowing down. Now there's very real possibility that we'll see supply chain breakdowns and food shortages in small communities, and the economic effects of shutdowns and quarantines begin to take its toll. Panic buying can lead to bank runs and potential martial law, and if it does, will you be able to provide good quality food for yourself and your family? Well, in this video, Dan Dicks of Press for Truth speaks with Curtis Stone, the urban farmer, about what he's been doing to prepare for the world that we're currently in, and more importantly, how you too can achieve self-sustainable food in times of great uncertainty. A very, very important interview we did, again, back in March of 2020, warning about the coming food shortages, the coming food crisis, and most importantly, what you need to do about it to protect yourself and your family moving forward, which is something I've been stressing on this channel for the last 2 years. The need to be completely self-reliant, no longer relying on the government, no longer relying on the banks, no longer reliant on the grocery stores, and able to be completely self-sustainable. Because let's face it, this whole system of power and control is set up in a pyramidal structure, with them at the top and all of us who make up the base at the bottom. And these farmers and these truckers and these people all over the world are starting to recognize that we're the ones who make up the base here. And when you remove the bottom brick out of a pyramid, what happens? Well, it all starts to come crumbling down. And so the current system is much like a delicate house of cards. Yes, it looks like it's a sound structure, but it's not. It's very fragile. The whole thing can come crumbling down, and it's within our power to do so. So this is incredibly inspiring to see these farmers standing up, rising up, fighting against these draconian measures that are going to shut down their businesses in the midst of a global food crisis. It's just absolutely insane. So this is why I wanted to bring this to your attention, guys. Once again, please check me out. Where is it? Right here at pressfortruth.ca/donate. If you do appreciate my efforts to bring you this information, I am going to continue to document this. There's no way this is going to be slowing down anytime soon. The Dutch are a whole nother kind of people. They're strong. They're fierce. I don't think they're going to back down. So I'm gonna be all over this one, guys. Especially, as I said, as we move towards this 2030 agenda that the powers that ought not to be want to push us into. So that's all for today, guys. Just wanted to bring that to your attention, just in case you're not aware this is currently happening. Once again, please don't forget to check the links in the description to where you can support my efforts moving forward. And that's all for today, guys. I want to thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to click that thumbs up button. Share this video with your friends and family who you think need to see it the most. And stay tuned. We're going to have more video reports coming soon. This is Dan Dicks reporting for Press for Truth.
We all want truth. The truth will set you free.